No resume, no problem. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to land a job without having a resume. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I'm going to share with you how to land a job without even having a resume. That's right, you can land a decent and high-paying job without having the most basic of job search tools, the resume. But before we get too far into it, if you're interested in more career-related content just like this directly from a corporate recruiter, hit that subscribe button. So the resume seems to be a very daunting thing for a lot of people to write in their careers, and there's a lot of reasons why. Mainly it's confusing. There's a lot of different opinions on what should go on it, what shouldn't go on it. And of course, when you see that mythical job that you've been waiting for, if you don't put your resume together correctly, you could end up with a rejection pretty quickly and be barred from that opportunity. And of course, on this channel, I pitch the importance of customizing your resume consistently because it's one of the most impactful and important things that you can do. But it's not just customizing it, it's setting your resume up to be a strategic document to use in your career. And because customizing your resume for each role that you apply to can seem pretty daunting, most people don't do it. And unfortunately, that directly impacts their results. But what if I told you that there are actually several ways that you can land a job without even having a resume at all? Or at the very least, getting far into an interview process without having a resume? Well, you're in luck because there actually are, and I have hired people this way before. So let's break down a few of them together. The first way that you can get hired without having a resume, honestly, this is probably the most common one, is through employee referrals. Now, this is not some earth-shattering tip because most people know the importance of employer referrals, and that's what they usually associate their networks with. And where this has happened most commonly in my career when I've hired somebody that didn't have a resume, or I didn't source and get a resume to send out to my team, it's been through employer referrals through usually a hiring manager's network. And some of my favorite hiring managers have come to me with a new job requisition, in other words, a new job posting, and they've also said, I actually already have a candidate identified, and they're from a previous company that I used to work with. I gave them a call the other day and they're actually really interested. They're the perfect fit. So we're going to fast track them through our interview process. And lo and behold, I reach out to the candidate and I say, hey, I got your name from so-and-so hiring manager. We would love to invite you to interview with the team. And then we fast track them. Now, full disclosure, we will probably ask for a resume at some point in the interview process for them so that we've got something to go off of when we're actually interviewing them. But the resume is not a requirement to get them deep into an interview process and probably pretty near the finish line. So this really does work. And I've hired a lot of very senior positions just this way. And if you've ever heard of the hidden job market, this is potentially one example of that. So that's why it's important to leave in good graces and try to make good impressions with the people around you. Because when you're ready to quit a job and you exit in a blaze of glory and you kick over the planter on your way out and you tell everybody how you really feel, you're eliminating any chance of anybody in that organization submitting you as an employer referral. And usually this happens when your manager or somebody in your peer group who's going places, they're moving up in an organization, moves to another organization, and that organization needs people, and then they'll look at their network and say, who did I work with that was really solid? I know that person, and this person, and then they'll go and hand pick them. And then there's no slate of candidates. This is the main person, and assuming that they're interested in the role, they're going to move right into it. And the nice thing is the hiring manager does most of the sales for me, the recruiter, so we love them. So it is worth maintaining good relationships with your boss and other people in your peer group in your current company, because as they leave to go to different organizations, they could pull you along with them. And in fact, it's not uncommon to see that same group of people moving from company to company. In a similar spirit, another way that you can get a job without having a resume is by getting involved. Find an organization that's related to your industry and your local market and start to participate in it, because you're basically doing the same thing as the last example, except it's on a broader scale. You're now starting to network with other people in different companies in similar roles. And that can be extremely powerful because they will bring you along with them too. And let me give you an example of how this has worked in real life. A few years back, I was trying to build a photography business on the side as a side hustle. And one of the ways that I did that is I was trying to get involved with the public relations people in my local market. So I joined the Public Relations Society of America and the International Business Communicators Group. And I started to go to those networking events. And gradually I got to learn all the movers and the shakers. And what turned out was that the people who were on the committees, who were always showing up to these mixers, who seemed to really know each other well, when there was a job that would come up at their company, they wouldn't go out to the open market and run ads. They would actually go to their network inside of this public relations group, and they would handpick the people who were high performers and were really involved in their industry. And in this organization, it was a who's who of all the major public relations people in this city. So they're tapping into all the best people and pulling them along with them. And the people who were moving from company to company didn't have to apply for a job. In fact, I just saw on my LinkedIn profile not too long ago that one of the people that I used to work with really closely just got promoted into another company that used to be really involved. And I knew exactly who was pulling them along. So getting involved with your local organizations can be really powerful. And you don't even have to join organizations to build strong networks and kind of duplicate this same success. It's not going to be quite as powerful, but you can build out really powerful connections on LinkedIn, for example. And if you can figure out a way to buddy up with them so that they know who you are, maybe when there's an opportunity that pops up, they might tap you on the shoulder as well and pull you right along with them. But the name of the game is who you know and what they perceive you as. And that's where the importance of personal branding comes in. Because as you're building your personal brand on LinkedIn and in person, you can really start to show the world how much of an expert you are. And then you can make the perceived demand for your skills even higher. Me myself, I've gotten opportunities just for being a consistent poster on LinkedIn. It does take a little bit more effort than going and applying for a job, but I'm telling you, applying for jobs is the single least efficient way of finding a new opportunity. Finding people in your network to pull you along or having the recruiter come and discover you is really the best way to do it. And as you're building your personal brand on LinkedIn, you should have an optimized profile, because that optimized profile is going to help you with discoverability. In other words, recruiters will find you. But it's also going to allow employers to check you out without even needing the resume to begin with, because a really good LinkedIn profile could in some ways replace your resume for certain employers. I wouldn't go as far as to say I would replace your resume with a LinkedIn profile, so don't get me wrong there, but a good LinkedIn profile can really accomplish a lot of the same things and get people to notice you. But we want to be branded as an expert because the people who are getting recruited without resumes are showing expertise in their fields, and employers are searching them out. And that's a really, really powerful way to get your foot in the door, deep into an interview process, and in some cases, name your own price. And let me give you a really powerful example. There was a new role that we were recruiting. It was called a technical program manager, and it was relatively niche. I think somebody at Amazon had actually pioneered this role. And since it was a relatively new position in industry, there wasn't a ton of candidates that were doing this. And it was a very nuanced role that our hiring manager was looking to fill. So he sent over a list of resources to train us up on what the role was and how we could assess it, and even some questions that we could ask. So we went and studied some of these resources, which included a really robust website that was all about TPMs. And it was page after page after page of all these great articles. And there was a training course and there was all this other stuff. And it was a really impressive blog. And it was written by a particular person who kind of pioneered this whole job type to begin with. So as we started to source the role, in other words, we started to look for candidates actively. Guess who was the first person that we reached out to? That's right, the guy that wrote the blog. So we went right to the source and we got him into the interview process. He didn't ever submit a resume, and the hiring manager was absolutely thrilled by this. He thought he was talking to a celebrity, and the position was only slated for, let's just say, $200,000 a year. Yet this person came in demanding, let's say, $300,000. His credibility and authority in the space was so powerful that the hiring manager bent over backwards to make it happen. He consolidated some headcount, rearranged his organization, and essentially moved mountains to get this guy what he needed to accept the offer. And I still don't think that guy ever submitted a resume once. Create a receptacle of knowledge and share your personal brand of why you are the expert in your space. And if it's an in-demand niche, employers will notice and they will start coming to you. So when you're ready to start interviewing for your next job, maybe add this in as just a little extra spice to help your job search. But I don't want to de-emphasize the importance of having a great resume, because for most of us, that's going to be the way that we're going to find a job. But I actually did create a training course called Resume Rocketfuel, which teaches you how to write those resumes that are going to give you the highest likelihood of a recruiter noticing you and getting you into that first round interview. It also takes away a lot of that guesswork, because the customizing of resumes can be arduous and cumbersome. So I give you some tips and tricks there on how to approach customization, and it doesn't have to be nearly as bad as you think it is. So I highly encourage you to check that out if you're struggling with your resume game, you're not getting a lot of responses. A lot of times it is a resume issue. But But if you really want to pull back the curtains of a major corporation's hiring processes, I encourage you to check out the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp. It's an A to Z guide to how to get a job. It starts a job search, goes all the way through each round of the interview process, gives you all the tools and techniques you need to ace your interview, and then ultimately get that offer and help you negotiate it. So it is truly the creme de la creme. It's the most deep insider knowledge that I have, and I spill the beans about everything. But if you want to skip that recruiter altogether, again, that LinkedIn is so important. So that's where I created the Unlocking LinkedIn course. So it's going to teach you how to set up that profile. It's going to teach you how to get recruiters to start noticing you versus the other way around. And it's going to give you that insider edge to hopefully get you some of those opportunities. And who knows, maybe you don't have to submit a resume for it. So I encourage you to check out Unlocking LinkedIn if you're ready to tap into the power of that networking. So hopefully this video got the gears turning. You can approach job search from more than one way, and there are ways to get into the interview process, again, without having that resume. Like always, appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.